All right, Wilson, it's a big day, so let's get started here. Downtown Billings, 629. Outside, we've got about 40 degrees, not too bad. Lines are already forming at the polling places. As we look at First News, it's fair, it's accurate, you get the damn truth, and it's brought to you by the good folks out there at Hardin Chevrolet. Election Day 2024 has finally arrived. Tens of millions of Americans have already cast their ballots. In fact, record amount of absentee ballots have already been cast this year. Record numbers in Georgia, North Carolina, a lot of the battleground states have seen heavy turnouts so far in advance of today. In fact, nationwide voting, advance voting, as of yesterday, 82 million ballots had already been cast in the election. That's about half of the total amount of people that usually vote every year. Despite long lines in some places, a few hiccups that are common to all elections, like early in-person mail voting proceeded without any major problems, which is one of the reasons why people decided to vote early, hand deliver, get their ballots in. To take away the chance of something on today, like automatic counting machines, precincts not open, hiccups here or there at your precinct when you vote. Voters are voting, and they voted early. Polls open today at 7 a.m. here our time till 8 p.m. tonight. We went over all the different polling places around. We'll do it again later this morning, but understand there are already people in line waiting to do their rightful thing. In the meantime, National Guard officials said 24 states across the country have already indicated they're going to send National Guard troops to Washington if requested. Now, you may recall in the last election, President Donald Trump at the time requested National Guard troops for Washington, D.C. But the Democrats in charge, Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, they turned down the extra security in Washington, D.C. after the election, and look what happened. Reports coming throughout America yesterday that these liberal whack job cities, Portland, places like that, Minneapolis and others, they're already boarding up the windows in their downtown areas from businesses in case the election results don't turn out how their liberal cities want them to, because they know what's going to happen. They have to get a handle on that immediately, arrest anybody that is involved, and take care of it. 25,000 Guard troops from around the country flooded into Washington after the January 6th deal. This was after President Trump had requested them to be there before that inauguration day, once again turned down by Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. We hope calmer heads prevail when the election results come out. Either way, control of Congress is at stake. Races for the House and Senate will determine which party holds the majority. Key contests playing out all over the country. New York and California, Democrats are trying to win back Republican held seats. Vote counting in some races, they said, could extend past Tuesday. Senate attention is focused on Montana, where there is a blue wall up here. John Tester portraying himself as a conservative as he runs for election, but voting as a Democrat 95% of the time, along with Joe Biden. You'll be voting on all of that stuff today. Puerto Rico is holding elections that could be historic, regardless of which two of their two gubernatorial candidates win. They're also taking part in Election Day today. Weather should not be much of a factor anywhere in the country. Weather seems to be pretty good at just about every state in the nation. Maybe some rain showers and things like that, but nothing to make it miserable for the folks who are going to vote. In the meantime, there is a tropical storm, Rafael. It's heading towards the Cayman Islands. A hurricane warning is in effect for the Cayman Islands and Cuba as well, as they think this could possibly strengthen. But right now, the focus is more on the election than the hurricane. While we were sleeping last night, too, that volcano decided to erupt. Indonesia's National Disaster Management Agency said 10 people died in those volcanic eruptions in the remote island of Flores. The eruption at Mount Leutobi after midnight spewed ash and lava 2,000 meters into the sky, burned down several homes. Nearby villages had to be evacuated, but it burped last night and this morning still bubbling. We have to sleep with one eye open in the recent 4 years because of what North Korea has done. They've been virtually ignored over the last 4 years of the Harris-Biden administration. Yesterday, South Korea reported North Korea fired multiple short-range ballistic missiles towards its eastern seacoast, demonstrating their weapons. Japan said 7 North Korean missiles flew 250 miles from them off the coast of Japan. North Korea has teamed up with Russia. That's a quagmire now, as Russia trying to penetrate deeper into the Ukraine. North Korea may change their mind, though, as soon as they start sending body bags full of their soldiers back to North Korea. They have joined Russia in their war against the Ukraine, and those North Korean soldiers have now come under Ukrainian missile fire. We'll see what happens now, see if they pull back or see if they're as enthusiastic as they were last week when they joined Russian forces. 12,000 North Korean combat troops are now there working side by side with Moscow. U.S. auto safety regulators yesterday ended their investigation into Ford engine failures. The company replaced engines or extended the warranty on some of these vehicles. National Highway Traffic Safety Administration said they traced the problem to intake valves that can fracture inside some of the 2.7-liter and 3-liter turbocharged engines. The probe covered 410,000 vehicles, 21 and 22 models. The F-150, Bronco, Edge, Explorer, Lincoln Aviator, the Nautilus. Ford said the problem was limited to the valves made during 5 months of production, so they recalled 91,000. The company's also extended warranty on some of those recalled vehicles, too, to 10 years or 150,000 miles. World investors and world stock markets today are watching and waiting. They want to see what the outcome of the U.S. election is. Everybody's a little nervous. Chinese markets surged on hopes of fresh stimulus for their economy. Yesterday on our stock exchange, the S&P was down 16 points. The Dow was down 257. NASDAQ was down yesterday 59 points. Everybody's kind of nervous going into this election. Oil prices bounced up yesterday. We heard from the OPECers. They want to reduce production again to put a stranglehold on America and other nations who use it. Saudi Arabian oil giant Aramco reported third quarter profits of $27 billion, and that was down 15% from last year. Oil prices have been depressed in recent days because of the tensions in the Middle East. They have receded slightly as China's economy slowed as well, but crude oil yesterday finished about $75 a barrel. Well, the workers at Boeing got some good news. The strike by the 33,000 Boeing factory workers coming to an end. After more than 7 weeks, the aerospace giant's machinists voted Monday to accept the offer that includes a 38% wage increase over 4 years. 59% of their members who cast ballots approved the deal. The strike started in mid-September, deprived the company of the much-needed cash because it shut down production in their factories in the Northwest. The union said the machinist it represents can now return to work as soon as Wednesday, now that they have their agreement worked out. By the way, we mentioned the OPECers were meeting earlier in the week. The United Arab Emirates opened up their annual oil and gas summit. They plan to increase energy output at some of their places. The massive Abu Dhabi Petroleum Exhibition and Conference last year hosted the United Nations climate talks. Those talks ended with a call by nearly 200 countries to try to move away from fossil fuels. It's the first time at that conference they made that pledge. Folks, the election is big when it comes to fossil fuels. because they will be gone quicker than you think if things go certain directions. We should be in a transitional period rather than a mandatory period when it comes to new sources of energy. Here closer to home, we have our own election that we are worried about. Three-term incumbent Democrat Jon Tester facing what they said perhaps is his toughest re-election challenge yet. Control of the Senate is online as he faces Tim Sheehy, former U.S. Navy SEAL. It's the first time Tester will be on the same ballot as Donald Trump. Trump won Montana presidential contest in wide margins in 2016 and 20, but during those years, Tester wasn't on the ballot in those years. He was in a different off year. It could give the GOP the majority in the Senate that they need. We'll see. Jon Tester has been the largest recipient of out-of-state lobbyist cash now for 2 elections in a row. This year, over $300 million will have been spent on the Senate race here in Montana. Also, Montana Governor Greg Gianforte, Ryan Zinke, their favorites to win re-election going in this week today. Troy Downing running in the Eastern District, also expected to win today, but we never know until those votes are cast. Democrat challengers have tried to paint these people as wealthy and out of touch with regular Montanans, as you are penalized in America for taking advantage of opportunity and success. That's the main theme going across our races today. We'll see. Montana State Representative Zoe Zephyr seeking re-election in a race that could allow the transgender lawmaker then to return to the House floor. You may recall 2 years ago, she was silenced and sanctioned for speaking out against her colleagues' opposition to gender-affirming care. She is now one of the leading voices of transgender rights across the country. Her exile ended when the 2023 session adjourned. Because the legislature did not meet this year, she has to win re-election to be able to make her return to the chamber floor when the Montana legislature gets together again in 2025. And organizers of a Chinese math competition said that a vocational school student who finished near the top in the first round was helped by her teacher, and that's a violation of the rules. Ying Ping became an overnight celebrity in June when she finished 12th in the preliminary round of the Alibaba Global Mathematics Competition. Organizers said this week assistance from her teacher, though, broke the rule against any discussion with others. The competition attracts graduates from top universities all around the world and country. It started 6 years ago. It was started by Chinese e-commerce giant Alibaba to try to find students who enjoy math and encourage and support them. As you know, the U.S. used to be dominant in math 40 years ago. Now we're 40th in the world as far as our math scores go. We have lost all sight of reality when it comes to that, science, math, and things like that. But this gal apparently had a teacher as a tutor, and they said you can't do that. So Chinese math competition. Mark, you and I would not do well.
No.
And I've always been good at math, but not that kind of math. You know, x squared cy / hyphen pi thing. No, not us. Cat Country News Time is 6:43. Sports and weather coming up.
I hadn't heard about the incident, but Monday Night Football last night started with Jason Kelce apologizing for an incident at the Ohio State-Penn State game when there's 87 people got their phones out following him, walking into the game, and somebody used a homophobic slur about his brother.
Oh, yeah?
And so he grabbed the phone and slammed it on the ground, and he said, I decided to greet hate with hate, and I'm sorry I fell short this week. And then they got on with the game, and the Chiefs won in overtime, and it was another game. It was another
game. They get Mark, what is with the NFL? Huh?
The NFL has a favorite team this year.
I saw a face mask call last night, and they showed it, and the guy grabbed his shoulder pad, and Troy Aikman goes, that is not a face mask. And it extended the drive, and then they score a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
What?
I know.
That's it. I turned that one off.
Yeah.
42 degrees today, folks. Little breezy, but not bad. Tomorrow, 41. Then we warm up. We've got 60s coming this weekend. 59 on Friday, 61 on Saturday. So good stuff. Not too bad out there right now. It's 40, cloudy, little breezy. And that's what's happening. Mark and Paul here together. All you guys standing in line ready to vote. God bless you and God bless America.